I built a $1.5 million trading brand. And before we go into the video, I want to show you the proof. And let me just refresh first and foremost the Stripe. So because a lot of people fake this inspect element shit, we don't do that here. So we refresh the Stripe. And I just want you to take a look at the numbers. Because when we scroll back to when the business was active, you can see right around here, we were consistently doing for nearly about a year and a half before we shut down the business. And I explained why I shut down the business on another video. So you can go check that out later on. You can see here, we're doing 60K months, 65K months, 50K months, 42, 32, 56, 51. Bear in mind, this is in euros, right? This is in euros, not USD. So the euro is obviously going to be lower than the USD. So USD wise, this is nearly about 950,000. Also, bear in mind, on top of that, we were collecting 30 to 40% payments each month in crypto. So all in all, in total, we collected over in and around 1.5 million USD. So the months that you see 60,000, this was more so in around 90 to 100K per month. How I was able to dial in such a strong personal brand to generate revenue at that size with such a small YouTube channel is by dialing in and optimizing my YouTube channel to work as a trust asset. And most people get this totally wrong. And this is exactly what we're going to go through today. We're going to go through this step by step so that by the end of this video, you know exactly what to post, how to post, and how to structure a YouTube channel that's going to become an asset for you, essentially, that keeps generating revenue even when you're not posting content. Okay. So first and foremost, I want you to take a look at the system at a glance, because YouTube is interesting because it has multiple different, it operates in many different segments, right? It operates as traffic. You can also build trust on there. You can convert people on there, and then you move people, the traffic that's coming from YouTube, to the funnel. And this is, as I said, how we were able to generate an over $1 million business, right? Before we get into YouTube, YouTube is a really interesting game. And I like to look at it as an asset, because when you post content on YouTube, it tends to stay. And quite frankly, it's it's like the opposite to Instagram, because when you post content on Instagram, the content on Instagram operates best just as you have posted it. So just when you post a piece of content on Instagram, that's when it gets the most traction and the performance of it tapers off. Whereas YouTube is actually vice versa. I've seen it take months. I've seen it take usually 6 to 8 months for a YouTube video to marinate before it actually generates some strong leads, before it gets some serious traction. I've had videos where I've posted them, and in the first like month or 2 or 3 months, they only get a couple of thousand views, and then they've went on to hit 150,000 views, 130,000 views. It's happened, and you need to just be able to wait. And this is the beautiful thing about YouTube. You need to be able to treat it as a long-term game, essentially. Now, the problem with YouTube is a lot of people focus on it from vanity metrics. They focus on the views. What you need to understand is that you need to be so careful and meticulous in the way that you produce YouTube content, because what you don't understand is you can post content and it might not get views right now, but it'll get views later on. But what you need to understand is your business in a year's time might change. So that video that might blow up, and I'm going to show you this exact thing that's happened to me. That video might blow up and you created that video wrong, right? You structured that video wrong, that it wasn't optimized for conversion. So you'll get a shit ton of views, but that video won't convert. So you need to consistently look into the future. What will my business look like within 1 to 2 years? Because you're not making just content for now. You're making content also for the person and the business that you will become in the future, which is why there's a specific way in creating content, specifically for the trading, which is what we're going to take a look at, right? So first and foremost, you don't need more content. You need content that makes people buy. I like to call this content with a commercial job. Content that has an intent behind it, whether it's to shift a specific belief, whether it's to just bring traffic in. Each and every piece of content should have a reason why you're posting it. You should have that intent before you even post that piece of content, right? Because a lot of time what ends up happening when you don't have a piece of content that has a commercial job is that people will watch and consume your content, and then they'll go and buy from another competitor who actually has this laid out properly in a proper funnel, in a proper nurturing and sales cycle. And I made this mistake because I made this mistake before. And I'm going to show you, not only am I going to show you what you should do with your YouTube, I'm going to show you what you shouldn't do with your YouTube as well, because there's things that you can do that will totally mess up your progress. And I've done it before. And looking back at it now, there's a lot of things that I did with my own personal brand that when I work with clients we don't do these mistakes. We don't make these mistakes before, because I've been posting in the trading niche on YouTube now for 6 years. Okay, so typically videos will fall under, like YouTube videos, they'll fall under 3 different pillars, which is top of funnel. This is reach. You want to essentially get strangers to know who you are. Then you've got middle of funnel content, which is nurturing content. This is to build trust and qualify people and qualify the ICP. And then you've got bottom of funnel. This is to drive the calls, to drive the sale, right? This is conversion content. Problem is, most people only make top of funnel videos, and that's exactly why they stay broke. I want to take you to my YouTube channel now. My YouTube channel, I built it to around 21,000 subscribers. And I want you to take a look at the videos. I have over 90 videos on this YouTube channel. A lot of them, by the way, I have privated. I've only kept a couple. As you can see, some of my most famous videos got 136,000 views, 161,000 views, right? Some of my oldest videos, this was some of my oldest videos 6 years ago. These videos have generated me so much money, but at the same time, they could have generated me 10x more. So I'm going to show you what I did right, but I'm going to show you what I could have did way better. That could have made me 10x the more money. Okay, because you learn through time. 6 years ago, I started making content about smart money concepts. Back in the time, smart money concepts wasn't really like it was obviously known. ICT was creating content, but not much people were creating content about it. This is incredibly important, because you always want to try and find the gap. You want to find a gap in the market. You want to be able to time things. A lot of people think content is just about like creating the best content possible. Most people didn't get famous, or most people didn't make a shit ton of money by just making the best content possible, understanding the best content frameworks. Yes, that increases your probability, but a lot of it, guys, is to do with timing. It's being able to read the market and either being sharp enough to time it, to hop on a specific trend, or hop on a specific, something that most people are really interested in, or it's luck. It's just one or the other. For me, I timed that at a perfect time, because this was the time when people wanted to start getting into smart money concepts, and there was ICT at the time. ICT's concepts were quite confusing for people. Okay, at the time, people were very confused. So that was before he even gained like his massive popularity, because his massive popularity came like 3 years down the line, right? I believe in like 2021, 2022. That's when really people were going for his stuff. I came out with one angle, which was I'm simplifying essentially ICT's concepts. I came out and I simplified ICT's concepts. And this is what blew me up. And I want you to just take a look, right, at my videos. I want you to just check out, right? Look at the comments. People were loving, okay? People were loving how simple it was. Once you see this, you cannot see it. Your breakdown is top tier. It's a really nice video. One of the best and easy to understand videos out there. You explained this so well. Great breakdown. Amazing how you put that together. My whole uniqueness of my content was the fact that I explained things very simply. 8-minute video, so it wasn't, people didn't have to go through 50 minutes just to get a basic concept. It was 8 minutes, so I take a contrarian position to what ICT did, right? 8 minutes in the video, I get straight to the point, boom. And this is the reason why this video performed incredibly well. Here's what I did wrong. Where I went wrong was I put myself in a specific container where, if you take a look here, I was like free Discord in the description, not realizing that when you have CTAs like this that are very like specific, right? And you never know, your business is going to change in the future. So what we ended up doing eventually was opened up a Telegram channel. So when you have free Discord in your description right here as a CTA, right, which I don't recommend you to do like a little banner like this. This was 6 years ago, guys. The trends were different, okay? I handicapped myself, because now everyone that watches this video ends up seeing this CTA, then they go here and they look at a completely different link. And this happened a lot because I had to change my offer many different times. We were changing offers, new products, new mentorships, etc. That's how it is in the info space. So I handicapped myself here. Whereas if I had kept it more broad, more general, where I could have mentioned, if you need help with XX, drop down the link, click the first link in the description. Now it's like the first link could be a book and call, it could be a Discord, it could be a Telegram, it could be anything. This is one thing that you want to do. The second thing is, I actually had no spoken CTA within the video, so I'm not going to play the whole video, but I never actually called out to people to ask them like if they need help. And you'd be surprised, like, especially when you're dealing with B2C. If you're dealing with B2B, which obviously we're not here, But B2B, you don't need, like, I don't need to tell you to go ahead and check out the description if you need help, because you'll watch my video and you'll be like, this guy clearly knows this shit. If you like what I'm saying, you'll click the link down in the description. You'll book a call with me just to speak to me to see if I can help you, whatever. But with B2C, because people aren't used to it that much, specifically back in that time when info wasn't even as big, you needed to call out to people. And that's one thing that I didn't do. So these are 2 lessons that you can take from me that now I implement it in my client stuff. So even down the line, in the future, if we change up content, right, or if we change up our offers, nothing goes south. I want you now to take, let's go back to the Miro board, because first and foremost, the number one thing before you're even able to convert anybody is you need to get found. Your video needs to be interesting enough that people first and foremost are like, they get curious and they want to click it. And packaging, guys, is number one. Packaging is the most important thing. You can have the best value within your video, but if your packaging is not correct, you'll only get 200 views. And unfortunately, and specifically, like for B2C, it's incredibly hard. B2C should be a lot easier, but regardless of what you're doing, right? Regardless of who you're targeting, your packaging needs to be on point. And your packaging needs to speak to the ICP that you're targeting. Okay, so this is something that's really important. What you need to understand in marketing, it's all about buyer psychology. And we like to buy from people that are like us. So if you're in your marketing and in your like titles and in your thumbnails, you've got like the Lambos, etc., Miami lifestyle type of a trader, you're going to attract these younger people. If you're trying to attract more like high net worth individuals, etc., then you need to put out content that looks like that. You need to build packaging and use words that speak to them. So you don't speak about making money. You speak about, building assets and freeing up liquidity. Like you speak in rich people, old people type of vocabulary. Okay, so that's very important. Here's what you need to do. You need to first and foremost have a title that's on point and a thumbnail that's incredibly strong. One clear, open loop. What you need to understand is a lot of people will give you advice about content and they'll explain what to do, how to build hooks and how to build thumbnails, etc. And they'll give you just frameworks. I don't want to give you any framework for hooks. I don't want to give you any framework for thumbnails. What I want you to just understand is just how people consume, the psychology of a consumer. Because why does someone click on a video? Typically, we click on a video because we're curious. It's opened a specific loop. This is what happens. It's a curiosity loop. And us as human beings, we always like to close loops. We derive dopamine, specifically men. We derive dopamine from completing tasks. So when you open a specific loop within their mind, you trigger that curiosity, they need to close it. And they'll close it by what? Watching your video. Okay? So here, typically, specifically in trading education content, it's very easy because people already know they need to consume knowledge and information because they want to learn. If someone's interested in smart money concepts or they're interested in ICT and they want to learn about the change of character, I've simply opened that loop for them. But what you also need to understand is, what's the desired thing? Like, what are the emotions that this individual is feeling at the time when they're learning about the change of character? Because what will typically happen is, and you'll see it within, I want you to look at this, right? Take a look at the analytics here. Where do we get most of the views? It's very important that you understand this stuff, because now, once you understand the psychology behind how people actually seek out these videos, you're going to be able to create videos specifically that speak to their specific desires and their pains. This specific video got 1 million impressions. The click-through rate was 10.7%, which is quite good, right? It's an interesting thumbnail. Probably not a thumbnail that I would use within this specific era now, although this video still gets me views every single day, right? Most of the views came from Google searches, which is interesting, right? 40% of the views came from Google searches. So, and then 64% right here also, look, came from YouTube search. And what was the highest YouTube search terms? Was Chuck Forex, Chuck trading strategy, Chuck Forex. So if you can understand what people typically search for, you can make content specifically for what they want to watch. It's very simple, right? And then in your title, okay, like from this video alone, I got 3.5k subscribers. You can only imagine how much money this made, right? Then the title, which is use Chuck to improve your accuracy in the markets simplified. I built a very simple title that specifically dials in on their pain point, which is that everyone teaches the change of character quite it's quite difficult to understand, right? So I decided to include simplified within the title. And then I simply, okay, in this specific video, I simply laid out exactly what they're going to get out of this video. Use the change of character to improve your accuracy in the markets, which is a desire that people have, is that most people are not accurate in the markets. So they want to get more accurate entries. They want to get more accurate exits. Simple as that. And then I included smart money trading within the brackets, which is typically a trend at that time. At the time, smart money trading was hot stuff. That was that. Nothing insane. And don't get me wrong, I probably could have optimized it so much better. Small things like look at the drop off within the hooks. Like the video performed quite well. The retention was quite good up until the end. The first 30 seconds, like 40% of people dropped off. You don't know why? Because 6 years ago, I decided to add a flipping intro. Okay, so stuff like that you learn, and now you're learning from my mistakes and you're learning from the stuff that I did. So now when you go and create content, you're going to create much better content than me that performs at a much better rate. Then I want you to also look at some of my other videos that have performed quite well. They're very simple. Okay, once again, I predicted the first trend, which is smart money concepts. Then I also understood that then we moved on to like order flow trading. And the funny part is it was just advancements within my trading journey. So I was sharing what I was learning at the time, and I was sharing what was working for me. So I went from smart money concepts, then I went from then I went to order flow trading, then I went to merging both together, which is an incredibly powerful strategy for me at the time. Okay, and I made the video. Okay. Advanced order flow footprints entry, 90% accuracy once again, and I rinsed it. Order flow footprints trading, and it flipping worked. Then I went here again. Ultimate sniper forex strategy. It sounds interesting. I added like a specific unique mechanism to it, which is like you get sniper entries. Worked very well. I went and I made the exact same video again, right? So I made this one, the first one performed well. I rinsed it again. It performed well, right? Sniper entries that performed well. Scalping strategy, like. You just rinse and repeat the stuff that works over and over again. And every single time. And how did I create the videos? I came up with the ideas. Typically, when I'm hosting the mentorship calls and I have people like struggling with like major and minor structure, and I take the idea, I'm like, okay, cool. Let me create a video on that. It's quite simple. And this was all my value content. But there was mistakes within the YouTube channel here, which is why it didn't perform as well. And quite frankly, I probably didn't even make that much money from these videos, because these videos were optimized for what? Top of funnel. It was optimized for traffic, but these videos weren't optimized for conversions. So I'm going to show you how to actually optimize this for conversions. And once I optimize it for conversions, on my more recent videos, which I actually took down pretty much all of my recent videos and only kept the old ones up. But on the recent videos, they're only getting 2,000-3,000 views. But some of them I was like, one video alone, I know I made like about $50,000 from, right? From one video alone, I got 3,000 views because it was optimized for conversion. I'm going to show you how to do that. Before we get into the conversion content, just a couple of more points on the top of funnel content. What you want to do is you want to have, specifically within your topics, you want to speak about a broad enough topic that everyone's interested in. And then you want to, in the content itself, you zone into a specific buyer, like a specific ICP. You niche down in your content. So if you're targeting beginners, which, yeah, you can target beginners, right? You make your content specifically for beginners. You keep it broad. You make it for beginners. If you want to target more advanced people, once again, my content is going to be packaged quite broad, but straight away, once they get into the video, they're going to self-qualify fairly quickly. People are going to know like who this is for, who this isn't for, right? So this is important that in the first 30 seconds, you have a very strong hook. Typically, you want to have some sort of strong proof. You want to show proof. Even within this video, I showed you proof, right? Straight away, within the first 30 seconds, I showed you proof that I am who I say I am, and you're learning value and you're listening to somebody that has already done what you want to do. This is very important. So you got to do that within your first 30 seconds as well. Then you also want to show them within the first 30 seconds what they're going to achieve out of this, because they'll click the title, they'll click the thumbnail. It builds a story. The title and thumbnail tells them that it's a promise, right? That they'll learn this, or they'll figure this out, or they'll find this out. You need to confirm that within the first 30 seconds that they clicked on the video, and that's exactly what they're going to get. If you don't confirm it, you're going to have an incongruency in the packaging and the actual content of the video. So it's very important that they're both aligned, right? The next thing you want to do as well is you make short form clips, which we have a whole separate video on this, going through the Instagram strategy, because yes, the YouTube itself is incredibly powerful, but it's an ecosystem that we want to build here for content. And then I feed all of my short form to my long form. And then lastly, you want to have consistency and a recognizable visual identity, which if you take a look at my channel from era to era, 6 years ago, this was the consistency that I had. So when people watch this and they see another video of mine come up, they know exactly who made this video. It was MomoFX back at the time. And then I changed the design to this, right? And I was consistent. And like this kind of just is the develop, like you're not always going to have consistent visuals because it's the development of your brand. Like you know, your brand grows, your brand matures over time. So as you can see different eras, you can see different kind of styles, but you should have some sort of consistency to it. Then we move on to the trust building content. So this is typically going to be your long form value. You want to show real proof, and this builds trust over hours of consumption. So people will watch one video and they won't just buy from your first video. They're going to buy through multiple different videos. So what you can do, which is incredibly powerful, is build a playlist. If you build a playlist taking people from A to Z, and you can drop all of your sauce on YouTube, genuinely, you can drop all of your sauce on YouTube, people will still buy your program because people don't lack information. People lack the accountability. People lack the accountability and the clarity for someone to be there to tell them this, yes, you're doing this right. For someone to be there to push them, to motivate them, to push them with the discipline. For someone to just to hold their hand through the tough times. This is what I learned, is that people necessarily don't even come for the knowledge. Is they come for the fact that they want to feel like they're part of something. So this is what you want to sell. You're not even necessarily selling knowledge. So go crazy with your knowledge and go crazy with your value, because this is what's going to differentiate you from the guys that are gatekeeping. Okay? On top of that, in your middle of funnel content, show your wins, show your losses. This is on Instagram and on YouTube. Show both sides. You want to be as transparent as possible. In an industry where if you truly did your research properly and you understood the pain points, you know that suspicion is one of the biggest things. It's a scammy, like it's a very scammy vibe of an industry, right? And there's a lot of scammers out there. So you need to literally position yourself against that. That's by showing your track records. It's by showing a shit ton of testimonials, results, being authentic, showing people that you also do lose. This is how you differentiate yourself from everyone else. Okay. When you create this type of, so here's the one thing that most people miss, which this is one mistake I also made back then, which I've learned from. And once again, we don't do this anymore, right? Like I don't do this anymore. I've learned to do this properly. Is back before, and everyone does this, a lot of people do this, is they only create value content. But the thing with value content is value is a commodity, because if I can learn it, you can learn it, we can learn it. When we compete on value, we're competing on just information, which then it becomes a competition of price. How do you differentiate yourself when the value is all the same, when the knowledge is all the same, the information is all the same? You differentiate yourself on personal brand. You differentiate yourself on you, your values, who you are. People like you, they aspire to be you. So this is what most people forget to do, is they forget to build likability content. Okay? Excuse my terrible writing. I don't know how to write with a mouse. Okay? So they forget likability content. This is where it's incredibly important to add in your vlog type of content. You know, you mix in the vlog type of content in on your Instagram. You're posting stories, sharing your life. Post a little bit of a lifestyle. I'm not saying you flex the Lambos and stuff. Lifestyle is, you know, you went on a flipping hike. You resonate with people that like hikes. If you're the type of guy that's like Bali lifestyle vibes, you're going to attract these type of people. If you're the Dubai type of persona, you're going to attract that type of persona. People pick other people. Like, here's the funny part. You might be more valuable, but someone might not specifically like your voice, and they'll pick one guy over you. I've seen it happen, right? I've seen it happen. So it's not all in just the value. You need to create content that people can resonate with. People like to be like people. People want to associate themselves with people that they aspire to be like, and that they feel like they're on the same wavelength. And this is why when I make specific content and I show my values, my principles, and what I stand for, I'm going to attract the exact people that also believe in that or stand for, or they want to stand for eventually in the future. Okay. So this is really, really important. Okay. Lastly is the conversion content. So your CTAs, most people have the CTA of like and subscribe. You need to always have a CTA, guys, and specifically in top of funnel content. Okay. Specifically in top of funnel content. I know this video is getting long, but if you internalize everything that I'm showing you here, this is the difference between building a 10K a month brand and 100 to 250K a month brand. There's a difference here. Okay. So it's worth the time that you're putting in. Typically, this is what'll happen. you've got the top of funnel content, okay? And most people have no CTA there. So when people flow into the top of funnel content, they reach a barrier because your top of funnel content sends them nowhere. So they bounce back and they leave and they go watch some other top of funnel content, okay, from someone else. Our goal when we get people in our funnel, in our top of funnel, if we want to close the top so that they can't bounce out, best way to do this is by usually sending them down through the funnel. And it might sound easy, but most people don't even do that. You do this through CTAs. You do this through having a lead magnet. When you have the lead magnet, you got an opt-in page. And when you got the opt-in page, you're collecting the name and email. Now you've got them in your email sequence. On top of that, it's another lead magnet or things that you can do is you add them to the Telegram channels and the Discord groups. So now you have a free community where you're nurturing them bit by bit. On top of that, in your top of funnel, you're sending them to middle of funnel content. Middle of funnel content is now a whole playlist. It's a whole series. It's like a master class, right? It's a master course with 10 videos. So now they're not just watching one video, they're binge watching multiple videos. This is why series on Instagram and YouTube work incredibly well. Because when somebody once again starts the loop, they they want to close that loop. So you want, like, your whole goal, your whole aim is to try and get them to consume as much content of yours as possible. So you need to be intentional from video to video. You want to send them. So a lot of time what you'll notice even in my videos is that I'll speak about YouTube here, but I'll tell you if you want to learn more about Instagram, which I know is another pain point for you. If you're watching YouTube and your YouTube is not dialed in, most likely your Instagram's also not dialed in. So now I'm also telling you to go watch that video after this video. And it's increasing the amount of watch time. It's increasing the amount of time that you consume my content so that I'm nurturing you bit by bit. Your description links need to be optimized as well. So typically the description links, I like to keep it very simple. I like to have my Instagram there because I like to send people to the Instagram. If you have a Discord, you link it. If you have Telegram, you link it. In your bio, in your description, on your top of funnel videos, you don't include a VSL funnel. Okay, so this is the YouTube conversion path. Typically, how it goes is you'll have a top of funnel video. Okay, so this is your broad content. Your broad content will push to a middle funnel video in the description. So I'll always have like some sort of long ass course. This will be like a 4 to 5 hour course explaining pretty much everything, your whole strategy. You push them to that video. Okay. So this will be the funnel vid. So you don't push straight to the VSL because they're not going to be ready there. And if you do this, you will notice the difference. You'll notice the absolute difference in lead quality and just lead warmth in general. Once you push them to that funnel video, okay, so this is where you push everyone to that big masterclass video. Once you have the funnel video, now you push them to what? The VSL. On the VSL, then you have all the case studies, results, testimonials. This is where they're able to book a call. Once again, if you want to learn how to build a good VSL, optimized for a trading niche offer, then you want to go ahead and check the other video on my YouTube. I'm giving all the sauce away here for free, guys. I don't sell the information, I sell the implementation. So that's that, okay? So what the funnel then will typically look like is that you have them on YouTube, okay? They'll go from YouTube, they'll opt into a lead magnet of some sort. Then you collect the email and the SMS nurture. After they've watched the long form course, you're going to send them to that VSL application. From there, they hop on the sales call. And from there, you collect the cash. On top of that as well, we run retargeting ads on warm viewers. This is a whole strategy in itself. And that's that, guys. That's how you build a personal brand on YouTube that actually converts. Okay? If you want me to help you out with building this whole funnel, this whole system, including help you out with the exact content to post, book a call down below. The link is in the description. We'll hop on a call. We'll look at your business. We'll discuss how we can grow it together. And if we're a good fit, we'll work. If not, you leave the call with at least a clear direction of where you should be headed yourself at least. Take care. We'll speak on the next video. Take care.